we're going to dive in. So my guest today is Kyra Rénel. She's amazing. And so I'm not going to read her whole bio. We'll put it out there. But she is an operational leader, skilled in team integration and developing process delivery methods within organizations. She possesses highly developed strategic and analytical skills, I can attest to that, with the ability to train and or implement on multiple levels. Kyra has established the ability to identify opportunities for profit protection, as well as the opportunity to increase efficiency within the infrastructure of an organization, addressing people, process, and profitability. Kyra!
Laura!
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here.
This is awesome. And I got to tell you guys, this is the first in-studio guest for the Rutledge Perspective. So,
yes.
So we are going to dive in today with Kyra to talk all things leadership, career, profitability, showing up, all that kind of stuff, because she's got some amazing things going on. So Kyra, where I want to start is tell people a little bit about you and the Kyra company, because I love the story you tell about why you named it the Kyra company.
Yeah.
So tell people a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, hello. Oh my goodness, I'm super excited to be here. So the Kyra company is the business development firm, and you said it, my jam is people, process, and profitability. I haven't been using that term, this is my jam, but I've been like over the last couple of weeks, like that's my jam. People, process, and profitability. And really our name was formed as a result of that. And I'll tell a quick story. There's someone that's been in my world for the last, probably the last 11 years. Mm-hmm. And she's a great friend of mine. She and I were sitting down for coffee, and we were just having a conversation. I had prior to that lost my job in corporate America. Mm-hmm. So I was just doing my thing, meeting with my friends, meeting with connections, like looking for whatever that thing is you look for when you don't know what to look for. That's what I was looking for. And so we were just sitting there having coffee, and I was talking, and we were, walking through a strategy that she's been trying to like build, like an idea that she's been trying to turn into a strategy. And I will tell you, from my 15 plus years of corporate America training, I think I've told you the story, like my mentors were silver fox Black women that had gone through the ranks and progressively advanced to senior level leadership. And they groomed us. Yes. And so we got pulled to the corner. Hey, why don't you have on a blazer? What's going on with this casual dress? I know back when, I'm gonna date myself. Right. We never jeans are allowed in the workplace, and they would pull us. They said, I know we just released that policy, that doesn't apply to you. And you're like, what? How? But
just for the job you want.
It was the standard they established for us. And I had 3 amazing anchors. Really 5, but 3 core. Mm-hmm. And so to put it in perspective, they were like, you never show up. First of all, don't leave your desk without a pen and a piece of paper. Right. Because you don't know what's going to happen between your desk and the destination. Mm-hmm. And so in this instance, I still carry that same thought process. I sat down to have coffee, and we started talking, this young lady and she starts asking me these questions. And then I said, okay, well, I pull out my notebook and I do what I do. Right. I think operationally, I think methodological. Yes. Right. Whatever.
Methodically.
Yes. That's it. Methodically. Man, I knew that wasn't it. Okay. Right. Methodically. And so I started working with it, and it was just like this thing. I just put it all on paper, and she looked at me and she said, she has always called me by my middle name, Kyra Rénel. Why are you not doing this for other people? Yes. And I said, doing what? Yeah. She said, this. I've been trying to do this for months, and you did it in like 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And what I realized is that my natural skill set is operationalizing ideas and vision and pulling it into, really adaptable and actionable strategy. Yeah. And so that's a lot of really great words to say. It's really about taking your vision, understanding your vision, because I think operationally, I think broad. So I understand the impacts, and I'll ask questions to help align it around what the impacts are to the people that you want to touch, whether it's your customer or your internal team. Yeah. What are the processes that your people are going to follow? And then what's the process your customer is going to experience? Yes. Those need to align. And then that helps us really identify how clean and how fluid our profit model is, right? And then we can talk about what your profit margin should be based on the industry you're in. And we can get all technical and into the details. But if you don't understand who you're serving and who you are, because the leader goes first, right? Who am I providing this service? Yeah. Who am I? And who am I to have the authority to do that? You know, what makes you think you have the audacity to be able to provide the
Yes.
solution?
Right.
Well, why don't we get to your skill set, define that, so when someone challenges your ability to do what you do, you can say, here's my resume.
Yes.
And it's not from a defensive position, it's from an understanding and a very clear knowledge base. And I love that. So needless to say, this young lady and that has been doing great business, you know, ever since, and then just evolving her model. She's still a client. I'm a client of hers. Yeah. And we wouldn't have it any other way.
Absolutely.
But that's how the Kyra company came to be. She's like, you need to name this company. She called me every morning at 6:30 in the morning, like a prayer partner on the phone, sending me scripture, like just in the convincing me to name my company my name. And I said, girl, I don't want to, that's too vain. I don't, you know, I'm coming out of corporate.
Right.
I'm like, I got 3 suits, black, gray, navy, you know, 4. Right. So I'm in a bob and I'm in glasses. And I'm like, this is how I rock. What do you mean? That's vanity. She's like, girl, what would you name it? I said, okay, well, let me sit back and think about this. And so she kept saying, what about Kyra Rénel? And I'm like, my name? Oh, I don't even use my middle name. So there's a whole evolution that's happening. She just kind of sits back and she leans in her chair. She's like, you should have just
knew what's coming.
You knew it was
right.
That's her. She has carte blanche to say that at any point in time because it happens consistently. But I will say, we named it the Kyra Company. And I said, someday the Kyra Company will sound as common as your major big box stores and companies. It will have, in that moment, I said, it will have the kind of flow and be a household name where you talk about, oh, the Kyra Company, where it doesn't sound like you're talking about Kyra. You're talking about the Kyra Company and what it can do for you. And I think that's what been the evolution. And I'm just so honored that, you know, we're slowly getting into that vein where people will say the Kyra Company and it doesn't sound like I need to raise my hand and say, oh, that's me. Right. Yeah.
I know. I love it. And it's interesting because Jerry and I talk about this all the time, how things happen and things just show up and the messages show up when you need to hear them. And so, you know, as we had been talking, a couple of things happened over the weekend, and I posted about that whole squirrel yesterday that I saw, right? And keeping your head down, being invisible, but you really have to show up. And I've been doing a walk and was listening to it again this morning. Was listening to Tony Evans' series about your calling.
Oh my!
And I was like, okay, God, I hear you. I hear you. And so I thought, and then I'm talking to Kyra, and one of the things that you and I talked about when I had you on my podcast was, you know, we have these moments where we are doing the thing we're supposed to do. Yeah. We're supposed to go to college. We're supposed to get the degree. We're supposed to go get the job. We're supposed to climb the ladder. We're supposed to do this stuff. And we're really good at it. We are exceptional at doing that stuff. But we're not excited. We're not joyful. Yeah. We are not necessarily serving because it's not our purpose. And so that ability to then understand when you're in your purpose, it is okay to say the Kyra Company is going to be as well a known name as McKinsey or Deloitte or anything else because it's about serving, not about me.
It is all day long. And you hit the nail on the head. And I finally started. Can I share this?
Yes, absolutely.
So there is such power in just speaking it out loud.
Yes.
And so, and I really don't make a bone about it. You know, I definitely come from this very corporate and politically correct space. And I think I also adapted that a lot in my personal life. And so there were things I just never audibly asked for. And I believe in God. I trust him with everything within me, right? Absolutely. Period. Every fiber. And it really wasn't until last year where I opened my mouth and I said 2 things. One, I want all the money. I want all the money that is assigned to me. I want to use it. You understand that I know my vision. I know what you've given me to do. I want all the money. And I didn't know how to say it. I'm like, I want all the money that is supposed to come to me. And I want it because, number one, I know you can trust me. And I trust me to do the work. And I trust me to make sure that the people around me eat. And I trust me enough to know that I'm going to serve you with it. This is not for vanity. Right. That was one thing I never really audibly said. And I realized I have visions and dreams that were starting to like materialize a lot faster than I anticipated. They're on the 5-year plan. I'm like, this stuff is happening in a year, 6 months. What's happening? I'm dreaming too small. And I realized it was just about me opening up my mind wide enough to be able to even process the fact that all of the resources, right? Let's make it bigger than money. The resources I needed were coming into my storehouse.
Time, energy, money.
That's the big piece. And then I remember starting to say audibly what I held in my belly as my vision. And I said, I want to be at the helm of the largest Black woman-led consulting firm in the nation.
Yeah.
Period.
There you go.
What did that
There you
mean?
go.
In
Yeah.
that moment,
Yeah.
I'm my own entity.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Not even months from that date
Mm-hmm.
did I go into partnership with another colleague.
Yeah.
And I said, this is my vision. Are you sure about this? And she looked me in my face and she said, Kyra, I don't do retreats with other people. She said, we're about to do this retreat and a planning retreat. She said, oh, I'm serious. Because I'm like, look, I'm out here. Once I put it in the atmosphere, I'm actually gung ho.
Right.
So, and she kept looking at me. She said, why are you asking me over and over? Am I in it? She said, I don't give people this kind of time.
Right.
I said, well, let's rock.
Yes.
And we immediately started to evolve. And so the ask that I had of God was, help me to be at the helm. I want that.
Yes.
And why do I want it? Because I know the needs that we can serve. Right? It says it's not about the money. Right? Yeah. It ain't about the money, but it is about the money.
Right. Because the reality is, in a practical sense, you need money to get things done.
Period.
It's the way it works. And yet, the key piece of what you said that I want all of you guys to hear is that it's about service. And we've talked about that on the show before. Servant leadership, and leadership in particular, is not about you. It's about the behavior that you exhibit. And servant leadership is about the other person. Yeah. And so even when I say, and you and I've had this conversation, when I say, I want a 7-figure business.
Yes.
I want a 7-figure business. I don't want a 7-figure business because I want a 7-figure lifestyle. That's not the goal. I want a 7-figure business because I want to make a 7-figure impact. And you got to put people around you, like you said, this partner you had, that see that vision and even see bigger and broader than you potentially can be, depending on where you are.
The evolution of what that can become, and I want to also make it clear, be very clear, we are not shunning the money game. Like the money is to be used for the tasks.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, but there's a perspective that you have when you understand the responsibility that comes with the money.
Yes.
And that is what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So just as soon as that partner and I literally inked our LLC, our new business, which then grew me by 2, right? So now we just doubled.
Yes.
We got a phone call and it was like, hey, we want to collaborate. Who should we work with? And I said, well, literally not less than 24 hours ago, just plugged in a collaboration to consolidate with this partner. And I said, I don't know if we can dissolve that and do something different. I said, but there's only one other person that I want to work with in addition to this person.
Absolutely.
And I'm being ambiguous right now, but
well, you have to be.
Literally 24 hours later, we then had a quad. Yeah. So there are 4 of us that are now at the helm of what we are building to be, right? The largest Black woman-led consulting firm in the nation. Yeah. How do we know that? Because that's the mission we're starting on. Yeah. We're not starting on, oh, let's see what we can do. Right. We already run successful companies and firms. So what we're affirming is the manifestation of this thing. Right. And we're all towing our lane and we're all towing our line. Yeah. And so I think that's the thing that we have to remember when we start thinking about the what we put in the atmosphere and how quickly the manifestation will happen. That's one. But do you believe it? Right. Because I had been incubating that thought. Yes. It had not come out of my mouth. It had not landed completely on my journal, maybe in part, but not in whole. And so now it's just an affirmation, a firm statement. Oh no, I'm building this. Yes. And whatever that means. And I'm saying that me because I'm gonna do my part. Right. And that's it. Yeah. And most people know, like, if it goes on the board in my world, that's an executable task, and it shall come to pass. So I'm excited, you know, about being clear enough about my purpose and my vision and bold enough, right? And understanding that when I open my mouth, the value that I've been given in my gift should flow. Yes. So use my words to bring life. Use my words to generate, you know, greater good in other people's lives. Right. How do I help move the cause? What am I passionate about? Like, now it's time to affirm some things and be very clear about my purpose. Yeah. You know, and make sure that that is what I'm standing on. You know, you spoke earlier about voting and being very clear about that. Yes. Yeah. You know, I walked my kids through the Civil Rights Museum this past weekend. Yeah. And the questions that they asked me really humbled me because I realized as much as I think they know, they do not. And so in the Civil Rights Museum, I'm going straight into this thing, Lord. Navigate me, okay? Yes. Yeah. You put your hands on this table, you put headphones in, and you listen to the lunch counter experience.
Yes, yes. Tears.
It's like 1 minute and 40 some seconds.
Yes.
They're like, let's see how long you can take it.
Yes.
And if you really think about, because you're listening to it, and then there's this reverberation in your chair, it's all your auditory senses are engaged, all your senses. And you can feel the vibrations on this counter, and your goal is to be peaceful.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And not be disturbed by someone else's disruption.
Yes.
And there were so many lessons in there. We start there, but then we start looking at the pictures, and
yes.
you start really going, things I've seen 1,000,001 times, but I realized my kids have received this kind of watered down version. And so we then start talking through, well, what does that mean? And what is that? I said, well, you know how I tell you to do this, this, and this? And here's the reason why. This person went ahead of us to pave this way.
So we could do what we're doing.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I'm like, man, we're going to pull out the eyes, keep your eyes on the prize, you know, collection, and like really get through that thing. It was so important. I'm going there because our voting rights are being considered as an option right now.
I can't even.
An option.
I can't.
It's an option. I don't like being treated as an option ever.
And well, and that leads to, you know, one, we've got to, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. So we have got to understand what happened before, because if you are paying attention, we've gotten caught up in woke, and you guys know that have been following me, words matter. The words we use, words matter. Yes. So I understand what woke meant and what people meant by being woke. But here's the thing. Sometimes you say something so much that it stops to have meaning.
Oh, yeah.
And what we really need is for us to be aware and to pay attention and to call it when we see it. So when we see those things like, you know, well, it's really about, we want to make sure that it's clean. We want to make sure that nothing is happening that is untoward. And you don't understand that the Heritage Foundation actually came out and has documentation that says we don't win when they show up. And y'all know who when they is. We don't win when they show up.
First of all, do you know who the Heritage Foundation is?
Exactly. Go back and see. And y'all, I talked about this a few weeks ago. Go back and look up the Heritage Foundation. This is decades. This is decades. So when we don't know, and people try to negate, even some of our own people try to negate, there is systemic challenges.
Yes.
Go look at the facts. Go look at the history. Go look at the history of housing in this in this nation.
You were going there in my head. I was going there because I did a little study back when I was doing this. I was doing a study around systemic assimilation and and I wrote a paper and a talk around reverse systemic assimilation. What is that? It's the idea of the assimilation that we did as a Black people, right?
Yes.
Was we assimilated to the environments we were in.
Right.
And so notoriously, and I might get the directions wrong, but directionally, but there were plants built on certain sides of town, which meant that Black people
Texas.
were kind of assigned to those neighborhoods so that the toxins from those plants came into your environment and not into the ones uptown or on the other side of the tracks. That's where that comes from.
Right.
So when you start to think about placement and how systemic and strategic the methodology was, I got my word right that time, around how we set up a class or a group or an identity of people, a group of people to not succeed and to have impediments and roadblocks and barriers, and then to assimilate to whatever the culture is that you create, because now you're in survival culture. You create a survival process and you trickle and pass that down from generation to generation, the thought process to thought process, business to business, money management to money management. We've created unintentionally and then some intentionally, because we know enough to shift now, we talk about breaking cycles, to disrupt the assimilation. And one of the things that I learned and I realized about Generation Z, they are our children, right? I'm a Generation X. They're our children. They are committed to not justice, but what is right.
What is right, exactly.
And when they when I watch them, they're listening for your culture cues that say you are leaning only this way and leaning
Right.
only this way. They
Right.
almost call us to a place in the center to say,
Yes.
now define your stance.
Yes.
And so it's like, now I'm naked. I can't be left or right. I got to be something very clear and deposited right here.
Right.
And Gen Z is that generation.
Mhm.
Maybe not all, but the majority that I work
Yes.
with and focus on,
Mhm.
and the ones in my house, they check the behavior, they check the
They
language.
do.
And it's not about, oh, this is how it's been or this is how we do. They're like, this is the new expectation, which is to be called into awareness.
Yes. You
Watch
have to be
what
aware
you
first.
say.
Yes.
You know, I still
Yes.
have some true story. Do your research. In corporate America, it was an adaptation of a supremacy
Yes.
hierarchy.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
We adapt and have adopted some of that
Mm-hmm.
thinking and method, and we just
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
And so we can go all the way to how Black people treat Black people depending on where you are in the hierarchy in corporate
We
America.
got class too.
There
Yes.
is such a challenge there for
Yeah.
some
Right.
to realize when you've arrived in a certain position and you
Right.
now are a decision maker and or an influencer,
Yes.
that your lane that you
Yeah.
run, if you're thinking and aware, should be to elevate the person
Right.
that
Right.
looks like you, that
Right.
has similar challenges to,
Right.
that you had when you
Right.
for you to get there. So now I'm reaching back to help. I'm not scolding them, chastising them because I don't think they meet the standard.
Right.
You've adopted this supremacy mindset.
Right.
And we do that, and it's almost like we trip each other up.
Right.
Unintentionally, but intentionally. I've watched it so many times. I don't know if that sounds so complex. You can,
No. It's
uncouple it or whatever,
Yeah.
but decouple it. But
no. It makes sense because we have not only it's a supremacy mindset, but and this is a perfect segue kind of into that career because we've got when we think about the listeners, we've got people who run their own businesses. We've got folks who are in careers and trying to figure out what to do or really loving what they're doing, and people across the globe that are listening. But when you think about not only that supremacy mindset, we also have this mindset of scarcity.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. There's only one spot for somebody who looks like me, or there's only one spot for a woman. There's only one spot for an insert other here. Right. And so that means if I got it, I got to keep it, because if somebody else gets it, that means I lose it.
Yeah.
And so we have put ourselves in this perspective. We've allowed ourselves to be put in this perspective of scarcity.
Yes.
And when you operate from scarcity, then you don't sit in opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And you're so concerned about holding on to what you have. And when you are holding on to what you have so tight, you don't make room for the stuff that's really meant for you.
Yes.
And so when you think about kind of how you've grown up and the people who really supported you, and I have had some amazing mentors who look like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had some amazing mentors who were so far from looking like me. And you need all of those to be able to be successful, because the system and the infrastructure requires your ability to assimilate enough to be heard and communicate and be taken seriously.
Yes.
And there's a difference between assimilation and selling out.
Yes. And that's what helps you create more space for other people.
Yes.
And that Laurel, I can stay here for hours, because the reason why we can be fruitful is because we've done the hard work to get here, right?
Yes.
If you're here, now create space.
For
and
others.
how do I do that?
Yes.
If you're working and you're the hardest worker in your role or in your position, identify a way to bring someone else in to take a portion of your role and show the company how this position can now enhance and improve their ability to do greater work.
Right.
Now you've just increased their capacity. Write a business case for that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I was working in automotive design.
Mm-hmm.
I went to my white counterpart and I said, listen, you did this in England.
Yes.
Show me how to do this here.
Yes.
I said, you're working for one of the first women to come into our design studio and be an example for us. She was a senior leader. I said, show me. Yes. I knew she knew stuff I didn't know. Before you knew it, we had literally created all new roles for other people to elevate into. So we actually created steps up.
Yes.
I created a step up for myself, and then other people could come and join the ranks.
Exactly.
And I think when we think about building capacity, even in our businesses, right?
Yes.
That's all day for me, right?
Yeah.
How do we make sure we create more jobs?
Right.
Do you think I'm you know, super confident about creating more jobs inside my company.
Right.
Not really,
Yeah.
because I don't know what the economy is going to do.
Exactly.
But what I'm not going to do is be afraid to grow.
Right.
And I need the people to grow.
Right.
And by me hiring the people to grow, they're able to then build, grow, nurture their family.
Exactly.
The cycle continues. And if the cycle is good and you made a good hiring decision, the growth is inevitable, right?
And people we think so short term.
Yeah.
Right? Because and again, we've been trained, and everybody's been trained kind of in this corporate thing. You know, you do have people who innately are entrepreneurs. I mean, they come out of the womb doing their own thing, right? You have that percentage of people. And then you have the percentage of people that the only thing they want to do is be told what to do. That's their capacity, right? And then you have the majority of people who are it's like a normal curve, right? The majority of people who are in the middle, who are kind of flexing back and forth. Depending on what's going on in my life right now, I just need something that's just, I know what it is because I got other stuff going on.
Right.
Or now it's time for me to just make it happen, right?
Yes.
I'm ready to move. And what we don't teach people, and what I talk to clients about all the time, and students a lot, is I need you to think about career and business and what you're doing as a flow, not a path.
Yes.
Because if you think about it as a flow, it can be up, it can be down. Down is not always bad, y'all. It can be down, it can be across, it can be diagonal. It can be a different industry, it can be a different role, it can be a completely different degree you want to get that you never even thought about. But what you're building is your toolbox to be able to step into the gift that you've been given to deliver the purpose that you have been given to serve others. And when you do that, you continue to grow exponentially, you continue to grow other people. And by the way you get that next promotion is to have somebody ready to take your job.
Yes.
It's not about losing your job. It's about creating your replacement. Because here's the deal. If you create your replacement and wherever you're working is like, well, now we don't need you. Guess what? That means a door open for you somewhere else.
Yes.
Because you not only now did a great job, you built your replacement. Put that on your resume.
It is so important for you to be able to talk to. Now, okay, put it on your resume. I'm gonna dig in right there. Put it on your resume. If you're an entrepreneur, put it on your capability statement.
Yes.
You have the ability to increase capacity within an organization, identify the size of the organization, the revenue that they generate, the division, the impact.
Yes.
Now let's talk about the people. What did you create and how did that elevate? Talk about the highlight reel that you created for yourself by creating space. That is what we fail to do sometimes because we see the pain that it may have caused us because, I got to go do a new thing. But doing a new thing put me in a position where I left a corporate job where I was making 6 figures and living check to check.
Right.
I don't know what.
Right.
Why.
Right.
I was like, why? And get into entrepreneurship, and I could do more with $600 than I could do with $6,000.
Because we had to.
That's the truth.
Yeah, we had to. When our circumstances, right? When our circumstances change, we figure out how to do things differently, right?
Yes.
And so, and I think I like what you're saying about take what you have and develop your own highlight reel. And I saw this theme a long time ago, and it said a lot of times we get in our own way because we are comparing our behind the scenes to somebody else's highlight reel. That's why you got to be careful on social media.
Yeah, two very different perspectives.
Two very different. And guess what? We all have a behind the scenes at every stage of growth. And it is ugly when you're in growth mode.
Listen, I will tell people this. In 2019, I went through one of the most incredible life changes ever, right? So I went from being married for 20 plus years to being divorced. I went from going from my father's house to my family to living on my own in my 40s for the first time in my natural life. What in the world?
Right.
And I mean, everything from the trip to Home Depot was traumatizing.
Right.
I need a ladder. You need hammers and screws. Now, where's this stuff at?
Right.
And, you know, I wasn't totally unable, but it was just the emotional task, right?
Yes.
Financially, it was challenging. Emotionally, it was challenging. As a parent, it was challenging. As a business owner, it was challenging. It impacted everything. Down to my manicure schedule. Like, I'm telling you everything. I promise you. Everything.
Yes.
And that was the year I won the most awards. I was the most highlighted and featured. So behind the scenes, man, I was learning a whole new Kyra Rénel. So what happened was when the divorce was in process, I dropped my last name, right? I still use my last name. I dropped it. Why did I do that? I was teaching myself something.
Right.
I had to then become me. And I know, you know, we hear it all the time. I was not necessarily lost as an individual,
Right.
but there were elements and aspects, and there was a fight in me. There was a version of me that had never been realized.
Right.
And so when we think about the highlight reel and we think about the back side of the story, you have no clue what was happening to the pretty brown girl up on stage when she's accepting that award in that sparkly dress 24 hours ago, and how she was tearing up and trying to figure out, could she still? And oh my God, I'm accepting this in the midst of one of the most chaotic and tumultuous spaces in my world. And then watch the evolution of God as a result. And look at, and people say, you went through a what? So they couldn't see what I felt. Come on, Laura. People can't see what you feel unless you tell them how you feel. Now, you might wear it on your face. You have days. But if you're going to show up, this is where my show up ready strategy was like immediately applicable.
Yes.
You're going to show up, girlfriend, and know what your capacity is. So even in your hardest moments, literally, I went in my house, closed my garage, went in my room. I went into my sanctuary. I incubated myself. I restored myself, because whatever I gave for that day, even if it was just 3 hours, it was all I had. That was all I had. Yes. And so then I came back in and I reset myself. And I took care of my soul because I understood one thing. I wanted my highlight reel to be real. And I wanted my story behind that reel to be fruit for other people. I wanted to be able to serve and feed other people behind it. Not that I feel like I'm a martyr, but because I knew my journey wasn't just for me. Other people watched. Other people watched that were close enough to see. People are always watching. Someone is always watching. You know, and so, God, there's just so much in there. As you guys are listening, and as Kyra and I, because I mean, it's like nobody else exists, y'all. We're just having this conversation. Hey, y'all.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal. So, you know, both of us came out of corporate. And if you guys have been following me for a while, I have a combination, People who have come out of corporate and done entrepreneurship, people who have stayed in corporate and been extremely successful and love it and are moving mountains to make sure other people are there. And I got to tell you, now is the time for Black women. So if you're not taking advantage now, I don't know what to tell you. And then those who have always been entrepreneurs, it's a mix, And it takes all kinds. Here's the thing that Kyra said that I want to make sure you guys heard, especially for women. One, you have to put your mask on first. You have to put your mask on first. Two, it is okay to be done when you're done. When your energy is done, it's okay. I am an introvert and I'm an empath. So that means I absorb everybody else's energy. And I like to show up, like you see me now. You will never see me come into this show and be on with y'all and know what happened. You won't. One, it gives me energy to be here. But there are times and days when I leave the show and I go home, I take all the stuff off my face and I go to bed. Because it's taken so much out of me. But if I'm going to continue to show up and serve, which I know I'm being called to do, I have to put me on the list first. And it's okay. The third thing is, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no. Good. And no is a full sentence. Always. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain it. Now there are things that I don't want to do, places I don't want to go. I just don't. I just don't. Now, I also know me. So I also have to have a conversation with me and say, okay, are you just being contrary? Are you just being, antisocial? Or is there something about this time, what's going on with you, how you need to show up, how you want to show up, how you can engage, that really means that this particular situation is not going to be one that is fruitful for the other person or for you? If the answer to that is yes, then you stay home. If the answer to that is no, you're just being contrary, then you put your face on. Pull it together. And because when you get there, there is a reason that you're there, and you will find it out when you get there every single time. If you do that kind of work and gut check yourself, I promise you, I can't think of one moment where I did that work and I said, girl, get it and go. Just go. Pull myself together and showed up and the heavens were open. I can't tell you, I've met some of the greatest people, my team members, business opportunities, amazing friends, collaborative partners, information that I didn't know I needed, I received. If you open up with that kind of intention in your world, that's really where life happens, guys. That's where life happens. And I think we
we miss that because it doesn't feel the best.
Yes.
But that's where we stretch ourselves.
Yes.
We stretch ourselves, Laurel.
Absolutely.
That's what, and I'm going to use my coin, my term. That's what smart CEOs do.
Yes.
First person you're a CEO of is yourself,
yes.
right? You go first.
Yes.
And then you can lead other people.
Absolutely.
Then you can build your reciprocity system in there.
Yeah.
If you ever hang around my world enough, you know,
yeah.
reciprocity is how we do it.
Absolutely.
If there's food on my table and you're connected to me, there's food on your table.
Yes, exactly.
That's just how it works. Even if I have to take from mine and put it on yours.
Because there's plenty. There is always plenty. If we're really moving in the way we're supposed to move, there's always plenty. So I want to talk a little bit to take all of your experience and all the things you've done. And I want to talk to those people who have chimed into the show every once in a while and talked about, you know, I don't know, especially in this pandemic, man, this is not what I want to be doing. I feel like I need to do something different. Or, you know, I'm really having a hard time showing up, or my boss, because I'm telling you folks, these kind of situations that we're in now reveal people's true selves. They reveal their true selves. When you are uncomfortable, when you are not in a safe space, we talked about that polyvagal theory, right? When you're not in a safe space, that behavior comes to the forefront. And so bad leaders are going to be even worse leaders in a crisis. If there is no one who is helping them do something different. And what's happening is you're finding organizations who have never addressed poor leadership, who are now reaping the rewards of their failure to address that poor leadership.
Yeah.
And so if you think about these people who are really just trying to show up and show up strong and may still be in that discernment mode, right? Because I'm telling you guys, don't hurt you because you're mad at them. Sometimes you need to just sit still.
Yes.
What would you kind of tell people who are really in that discernment phase saying, I know this isn't it. I don't know what it is yet, but this isn't it.
Yeah.
What do I do next?
Yeah, you stop.
You just stop.
You just stop. And you literally, and I hope you share my information,
yes,
because
absolutely.
I literally, this is there's an ebook out there, and what Laura will share, we'll put that in your hands at no cost. And it is called Be a Brilliant Business Owner and CEO. And one of the first things you have to do is stop and assess. And I live by that. I write what I live, you guys. My content on social media, LinkedIn, what I live this stuff, and this is my stuff.
Yeah.
My client stuff, whatever, but it's real.
Yeah. You
stop. Don't take your great energy and spin yourself around in circles.
Right.
Stop, grab a notebook, grab a pen, and start writing. Just let whatever is flow. Don't try to control it.
Right.
Don't try to manage it. Don't try to curve it. Just write whatever's coming up. And I tell people, even as extreme as I can sometimes, and they start telling me their vision, I'm like, listen, if you want to own and build an amusement park, write that down.
Right.
Because what you may not realize is it's not necessarily the amusement park that amazes you. It's the fact that you are very mechanical and methodical in your thinking, and you like the analytical, statistical, mathematical, whatever that tells you when you time something a certain way that it creates this effect, and your engineering mindset is rising, whatever it is that calls you into thinking into intricacies like that. You'd be like, what? Well, because it's just a thing that's calling you. It's the epitome of whatever that thing is. And I say that to say it's not always the big shiny stuff that actually reveals your purpose. Right. And so when you stop and just start writing, or you stop and just start meditating and thinking, that stopping is that's the trigger for release and for receiving. So that is the first thing. You know, there's so much noise around us. I know if you were like me, I was resisting going back to my 2020, my pre-COVID ways where I was doing so much and felt exhausted all the time. So keep that. Stay safe and cover yourself. But that stopping is one of the most important things you can do. And sometimes it's just stopping at a certain time of the year to plan.
Yes.
That could be it too.
Proper prior planning prevents poor performance, y'all.
Exactly what she said.
Yeah.
Exactly what she said.
So, you know, and here's the thing. So, you know, and I believe, I'm a believer in therapy. Y'all know that. I'm a believer in therapy. And one of the things that happened very early on in me and my therapy journey was stop.
Yes.
And I literally, because my brain moves so fast, and I literally am having multiple conversations at a time. I really thought I was nuts. I can be talking about and thinking about multiple things at one time.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting with my therapist and I said, I get on these spirals and like, what if and how, because that's what I do. And I literally had to learn, one, to be aware, to recognize when my brain is messy. And there are times when I will put my hands up, a physical movement.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes.
Stop.
That's actually scientifically,
yes,
that changes your energy.
It does.
And so sometimes, like when I'm coaching clients or directing them on strategy, I'll say, I need you to actually ball that sheet of paper up.
Yes.
And I need you to strike a line. I need you to say,
yes,
because that then sends off a trigger to the brain and it disrupts pattern.
Absolutely.
So your physical surrender to the moment is such a big deal.
It is.
And you don't look crazy. Other people are at home doing it too.
Exactly.
I do it too. You come to my house like
right.
journals along the bedside for
right.
just about everything you can think of. And I write and I buy Sharpies because they make me feel good.
Yes.
I also invest in the company.
Yes.
And
yes. There you go.
And I do that because I want to write in a way that feels good to me.
Yes.
If I'm gonna get these beautiful thoughts out on paper that turn into things that become ideas and opportunities for myself and others.
Yes. Beautiful journals, beautiful
Do you
pens. I got more journals, more pens in all colors. I'm a Pentel girl.
Yes.
Right? All the pinks and the blues and the greens.
Yes. And you like
praying in color.
We're saying that, but it's about our way of, we learn
exactly
how to create a safe space for ourselves. So if you're going to go there, go all the way, right? I say, work where you are, based on what you can afford, because it does get expensive. Yeah. But if you like a certain thing, get into it and really give yourself what you need. Right. Journaling saved my life. Yeah. Like,
it's a big deal.
Seriously, I had 8.5 by 11, a full portfolio size journal. It's blank sheets. I started it in October of 2018. I started there, and I literally, so it's a lifeline. It's got pages inserted now at this point. I can take that journal, because I'm a gangster.
Right.
I can take that journal and I can fully monetize the process that I went through and elevate someone else's life in the way that I did. And give them the tools, the strategies, the visuals, have somebody create. And here's your life guiding journal. Yeah. If I chose. Yes. But it was so intentional for me. Right. Everything that I wrote. The whole journey. We didn't even talk about the progression at from 40 plus, absolutely, as an adult, as a parent, as a career woman, being competitive, all the things that you face, and all the questions you have. When I lost my job, I went through, I went through hills and valleys, and I did some of them all in the same day. Yes. Polyvagal, we go through all of those. You see what I'm saying? I said, whatever is happening in my life right now, Lord, please, I need to simmer it down. Something. For 9 months before the Kyra company became a thing. Yes. Yeah. Literally. Absolutely. I was like, this ain't, who am I? I know they said I was good, but am I really good? You question everything about who you are. When we tie ourselves up, guys, and when we've talked about this before, your job is what you do. It's not who you are. Now, if you are fortunate, right? Or I won't even say fortunate because that's not fair. If you have been intentional, then your job may actually be completely aligned with your passion. It may be completely aligned with your purpose. But if it's not, and even if it is, and you're working for someone else and they make the decision that you no longer serve them, you are more than your job. You are more than that title. Yes. I can't tell you how many times when I made the decision to leave corporate, are you kidding? Do you know how much money you make? Do you know what your title is? Do you know what your impact? The only one that really got me was, do you know what impact you're making because people see you in that position? That was the one that hurt my heart, right? Because there were so few of us. When I left, there were 2. Now, this is a company of 17,000 worldwide. 2 senior level African-American women, 2 out of 17,000 worldwide. So when I left, I had put my person in place, right? So we still had 2. Now I think there's 1. Wow. But the thing that really got my heart was, man, I hate to leave. Yes. The people who are looking to me to say it can be done. Yes. But here's the thing, and let me say, and here's the thing, because I really that broke my heart. I own that. Yes. Because you don't know. The time I wore braids, I got more
oh my God, I didn't know that was okay. I'm so glad you did that. And you showed up and you were strong and you answered every question. And I was just being me, authentically me. But you never know who's watching.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. You can't stay somewhere for someone else.
Ooh.
You can't stay somewhere for someone else.
That's anyone. Like that's the
anyone.
boss, that's someone in your family, you know, that's your friends, that's for status, that's for the people, the they that we don't know about.
Yes.
You know, you cannot do that.
You can't.
You take away, I'm so passionate about that statement you just made. You take away your ability to breathe
Yes.
when you sacrifice yourself.
Yes.
Period. No human being has the ability to fully sacrifice themselves. There's one perfect sacrifice, right? Not one human has the ability to do it. You will injure yourself.
Yes.
You will suffocate. You will create disease inside your body because you are cutting off your ability to flow freely.
Right.
And if you know it, you know it. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you'll understand it when it happens. But I want you to know what Laurel just said is so important. Do not stay unhappy in a role that no longer drives your purpose forward.
Right.
Period.
Right.
For someone else's sake.
Ever.
Don't do that. There are so many ways to create. We don't know until we know.
Right.
There's so many ways to create something else.
Absolutely.
You just said it.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. Because you got to really think about what you're doing, right? So if you are unsafe, you need to get out.
Yes.
Right? If you're unsafe, you need to get out.
Yeah.
If it's not serving you, you need to find something else. Yeah. But that's something else, and this is why you heard Kyra say stop, right? That something else may be, this company is aligned with my values. I love what they do. I love the product we do, but this role or this department doesn't work for me.
Right.
Find out what does. It doesn't mean you have to leave your company. It just means what you're doing now doesn't work. Yeah. And guess what? We are not meant to stay in the same place forever.
Yeah. That's what those champions are for. Those mentors, those advisors, those folks that look like us, the ones that don't look like us, the ones that are our age, the ones that are not. Right. Those are the people that champion you and sponsor you through your journey of life. Yes. Even as an entrepreneur, I have all of them.
Yes.
And they don't look like me. They don't talk like me. They don't come from where I come from. And some of them do.
Right.
And all of them help guide the journey for me.
Absolutely.
They have perspectives I do not have.
Right.
I have whatever Kyra Rénel was given based on my life's journey.
Yes.
That's all I have, you guys.
Yes.
So now I get to tap into these other 6 and 7 players.
Yes.
Plus my other 3 business partners, plus my support team on my business, plus my nonprofit community, plus plus. Right. And now these people help guide your journey. Now I have perspectives that I can consider. Yeah. So exactly, that's your word. Rutledge.
It's important. It's important because I think we get caught up sometimes again in kind of that supposed to. And another thing that Kyra said that I want you guys to really pay attention to is we've talked about this before too, the messages we need to hear show up when we're ready to hear them, but we need to hear them differently. So sometimes you need that person, understanding your gifts. One of the things I do really well is listen to what people say and repeat to them in a way that they hear, connect dots that they didn't connect, that they may not have even known were there.
Yeah.
But I don't always hear my own message.
Oh.
You cannot coach yourself. Let me say that again. You cannot coach yourself. You can journal. And let me put a plug in for freestyle journaling. Yeah. What Kyra said, write, don't think, don't judge, just write. There's some stuff that came up that I will put in a book at some point. And so much so that I'm like, ooh, I got to stop this for a couple of days because I wasn't ready for that, right? But really, you need someone who is going to talk to you. You don't always need to think something. Sometimes you need to hear it. Because when we are speaking, we aren't necessarily hearing what we're saying.
Yes.
Because we're thinking, our brain is thinking about talking, the act of talking, the physical needs to talk. That's where your neurons are firing.
Ooh.
How to make my tongue work, my mind, all these things, where are the words coming from? You're thinking about what you're saying. You're not hearing what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so finding those people who are going to repeat back to you what you said, those people who are like, did you hear what you just said?
Come on, accountability.
Yeah. Did you hear what you just said?
Yes.
Would you have said that to anyone else?
Yes.
Then why are you saying it to you?
Yes. You
need to be able to hear messages as well as you read them, as well as you think them.
Yes.
because that's where some of that growth goes, and finding those people who are going to say, I'm working in a new mastermind that I'm really excited about, and you have to be open to bring people in,
Yes,
and to learn,
yes,
and to be humble, and I had been looking for a while for this mastermind.
Open as a state of existence, not open
Yes.
as an action, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. You have to be open to receive.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
And so when I talked to this woman, I was like, we were doing our whole entry. Does it make sense? For me, did it make sense for her? I was like, yeah, I really want to build a 7-figure business because money talks.
Yes.
There's the impact I want to make, and this is why I want to make it. And she's like, that's great, but why not 8?
Yeah.
Why not 9? Why not? You need to surround yourself with people who think differently and bigger and broader than you.
Yes.
You don't surround yourself with the people who are like, oh man, it's just so hard to make $200. Well, that may be true, but that's not where I'm trying to be.
Right. Wrong person.
That doesn't mean they're a bad person. That doesn't mean they are just in that space right now, and that's okay. That's their space. That's not my space and not my aspiration.
You get to choose it.
You get to choose.
Yeah, that was one of the most empowering statements I'd heard. You get to choose, and that, Laura, as you're talking through mindset,
yes,
right, and perspective on your mindset, you do get to choose it, and that was so powerful, because for so long I wasn't choosing, I was asking for permission.
Yes,
and from 2 different.
Did y'all hear that?
Coach.
Wasn't choosing, was asking for permission.
Yeah, I was asking for permission, and I heard that statement from a coach, a Black woman coach. And then I heard that you get to choose from another Black woman coach. Yeah. And I took the ideas around both of those. So what does it mean when I ask for permission? When I'm not asking for permission anymore. And she said, you're not asking for permission, you're just asking for support. Yes. Right? And so for a lot of us, we're like, oh, I got to ask to make sure it's okay. Yeah. Or I want to make sure this doesn't impact somebody else. And let me find. What you're asking for is somebody to support you. When you don't believe or have a strategy or a plan or understand who you are, is when you start asking for permission to deliver in this way. Yes. If that's your thing, you're going to blaze the trail and nobody's going to be able to stop you, right?
Absolutely.
That's how it goes.
Absolutely.
And you choosing the choice.
Absolutely.
The choice. That's an affirmative position in life.
Yes.
I'm choosing to share this conversation with you. I'm choosing to share this insight on my life with the world. Yes. I don't know where all of this will land, but I do know I'm choosing this level of vulnerability because there's a value in someone else being able to grow roots that are strong and supported by someone else that's shared their journey. Because why? That happened to me.
Yes.
Someone did that for me, right? So we start thinking about all of those whys that drive our actions. And if you go back to the stopping and paying attention to it, write out the whys. Why are you saying yes? Right. I have a saying. I say yes and mean it. Yes. But you can't mean that yes if you don't understand that thing. You can't, and you need to You need to understand why you said yes. Yes. Why did I say yes?
Yes. My friend Lexi, you guys are going to hear on the podcast this week. The new episode drops tomorrow. She has a gratitude practice that's amazing. And it started with her own practice, kind of like you're saying, right? My journal was for me.
Yes.
Now it turns out it can be something to lead other people, but I did it for me and my insights. She did the same thing with her gratitude practice. Yes. And so now she's got this amazing, if you're looking for a gratitude practice, it's amazing. And when I talked to her on the podcast, she said, I have 2 months a year that I say yes. Mm. She said, I say yes to everything. And she said, wait, that's not true. I say yes if it is aligned and the resources are there. I don't research it. I don't think about it. I don't evaluate it. If the resources are there and if it's aligned to where I'm going, I just say yes. So what Kyra said, be ready to say yes, but know why you are saying yes. Because if you don't know why you're saying yes, then your no doesn't mean no either.
Yeah. I always tell people I'm affirmed in my yes. Yeah. My no sometimes is negotiable.
Yeah. That's good.
It sometimes is, because sometimes I'm willing to think a different way.
Yes.
But if I say yes, I'm confirmed. That means it's gone through my clarity bubble. It's filtered properly through my soul, and the yes is real.
Yes.
I'm gonna be here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there with bells on. I'm gonna deliver. I'm gonna find out how you like it, and I'm gonna serve it that way.
Exactly.
And that's my yes.
I love it.
And my no. I mean, if you can show me another way, there's always another way, and if it aligns with who I am and what I believe, and it supports the yes, then I might convert.
That's what I'm saying, y'all. Get the information to make a definitive decision, an
Yes.
informed decision.
Yes.
Well, Kyra, we could be talking for another 2 hours, y'all. So I want to, and Jerry, I didn't even pause to see if people had questions. I see some comments. Agnes, so glad you're here. Bonita, so glad. Just so many people who are here, and I know folks on the KCOH page as well. I'm going to make sure I post Kyra's information, the Kyra company, so she'll have that. I'll post it on my page. I'll give it to Jerry so she can post it on her page. Follow her. Maybe tell people what your handles are on Instagram, LinkedIn.
Absolutely. You can follow Kyra, Kyra Hardwick, Hardwick on LinkedIn. And you can find Kyra Rénel, Renel, on all of our social media. If you just Google Kyra Houston, I think there's two of us, but you're going to get Kyra Hardwick, right? You're going to pop up there and you'll be able to find your way.
Yes.
I say that, tongue in cheek. There's a sweetheart named Kyra that's in Houston as well. I was so glad when I met her.
Yes.
But we share the name.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, if you Google Kyra Hardwick, you can find absolutely everything. TheKyraCompany.com. We're on every social media platform there is. We've got some amazing things happening going into this next season. And so don't miss your opportunity to gain access to the things that we've been working on.
Yeah.
And so
please check out her Facebook group. It's called Smart CEOs.
Yes.
So send her a note to see if you can join that. Really great information there. She goes on periodically just to answer questions. Follow Kyra. See what's coming up. Are you ready to talk a little bit about some of the, 2 seconds, what's coming up, or is it too early?
I can do a little, because we got one thing that's still baking, but I will tell you that the Smart CEO community is where it is at.
There you
go.
go.
So we have a private community for the elite Smart CEOs that is coming online. That is a private membership. That will be an exclusive, high-level training environment. It will be where your skills, your talents will be highlighted and featured. We eat together in that community.
Yes.
So just know we promote our team, and we promote our Smart CEOs amongst them. We have a Smart CEO photo shoot. So if you're coming, we got folks flying in. It's happening this fall.
Love it.
And we're going to be our own stock photos, our own feature photos for our websites and for Smart CEO content. We want you forward. We want the people forward. So Smart CEO community, get in the Facebook group. Listen, the link that Laurel's going to provide, click it. It'll give you access to get on the mailing list and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
Don't miss it. The Smart CEOs are going to just make your life amazing. I promise you, it's a community you want to serve.
It is incredible.
Yes.
It's incredible. Kyra, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you for being on the Rutledge Perspective. Thank all of you for tuning in. For my folks in Houston, my folks around Texas, around the U.S. I know I probably have my listeners again from the UK and Germany and Malaysia and Africa and all over. Thank y'all for spending time today, because I know, again, you have a choice. Yeah. So thank you for choosing to spend this time with me. And we will catch you again next week, 10 a.m. Central Time, KCOH TV Radio, The Boost. You can catch it on my Facebook and my LinkedIn page, as well as the KCOH TV radio page. The Rutledge Perspective podcast episode drops tomorrow morning. So look for that. Alexis Thompson and what she's building at Ubuntu, a safe place for souls to show up. It's incredible. So 2 great women again this week.
Wow.
Thank you. We'll see you next time. Bye.